Welcome back, I'm Kim.
I'm Del.
We are Going the Whole Hog and we hope you enjoyed our film from Barra, Vatersay and Mingulay.
This one is part of a series of films from the Outer Hebrides. You may have already seen our St Kilda film. If not, you can watch it up there, and there'll be a few others to come as well from the rest of the islands.
And if you're planning your own trip to the Outer Hebrides, make sure you jump over to our website goingthewholehog.com, where we have a bunch of travel guides from each of the islands and St Kilda as well. So the accompanying guide for this covers all of the best things to see and do on Barra and Vatersay, but we will tell you a little bit more about our own trip just now. Barra and Vatersay lie at the southern end of the chain of islands that make up the Outer Hebrides. You can get there by ferry from Oban. It takes about 5 hours. It is the longest journey that you can make out to the Outer Hebrides. Or you can take a direct flight from Glasgow and land on the beach, which is probably the most exciting flight you could ever do. Wouldn't know, haven't done it, I've always taken the ferry there.
Barra and Vatersay are two of the smaller islands in the Outer Hebrides, with Vatersay being even smaller. They are connected by a short causeway. Although they are small, they do have a bit of everything. They've got great beaches, lovely little bays, fantastic hills to walk in, great seafood, and just like a really nice atmosphere as well. So small but perfectly formed.
So I, in particular, really love the Outer Hebrides. Not that Del doesn't like them, but I am just a big fan. It was my 4th time visiting, our 3rd time visiting together. And the last time we were there was in 2017, when we cycled the Hebridean Way, which goes from Barra all the way up through the islands to Lewis. So we did that with about 20 friends of ours or so. And this time we did consider walking the Hebridean Way, which goes a slightly different route, just to take advantage of hiking trails and so on. But when we looked into the kind of detailed trail notes, we realised there's still a bit too much road walking for our liking, and decided that a car camping trip would suit us better.
And we were lucky enough to be able to borrow my dad's car, so we packed it full of the camping gear, took the ferry over to Castlebay, and started our 2.5-week car camping trip through the Outer Hebrides.
We didn't really have a set plan. We booked the ferry for going out, and we also booked the ferry for coming back from Stornoway and Lewis to Ullapool. But the in-between part we were kind of just making up as we went for the inter-island ferries, which meant that we did have to spend quite a bit of time sort of doing research and planning while we were on the trip, but it did keep us nice and flexible to be able to do things like visit Mingulay just out of the blue, or go to St Kilda as well, which was amazing. So on Barra in particular, trying to plan and stuff like that as we went was a little bit tricky because the phone reception is not good in general. We had no phone reception on Vatersay, and we did spend a good 2 to 3 hours one afternoon just sitting in the co-op car park in Castlebay, just trying to get phone reception and internet, or hanging about outside the Ardmore ferry terminal where you can log on to the Kelmac free Wi-Fi, which is quite handy. We also got incredibly lucky with the weather. We had about 10 days of really nice sunshine, a little bit of drizzle here and there, but basically Paradise, Barbados as it's also known, turned on for us. We arrived into Castlebay about 6 o'clock at night, and we headed straight to the co-op so that we could stock up on a bunch of food. The co-op was also being stocked up by the truck that had just come off the ferry, so the shelves were a little bit empty, but the next day they were nice and full. And then we headed straight to Vatersay Beach, which is one of my all-time favourite places in the world. One of the most beautiful beaches in Scotland, would you agree?
I would agree, yes.
I first visited it in 2007 with my friend Sheena, who's from South Eais. I came over to visit for a week. That was just after we'd gotten together, actually. Left you behind in Glasgow, went for a little sort of public transport trip through the islands with my pal, and I just fell in love with Vatersay. We were back there again at the start of the cycling trip a few years ago, and I've just always wanted to go there and camp. It's like a place that just gets stuck in your brain, and you just can't get the image of it out, or at least that's what it's like for me. So finally, we made it back to Vatersay, and we were able to camp there.
We ended up camping for 4 nights in the end.
Yeah, 4 out of our 5 nights on Barra we ended up staying there, because there is now a very convenient little sort of informal campsite there, which is like community run. So we were met when we parked up by Donald, who's a local guy who's charged with collecting the fees for the camping, or donations as they like to call them. So there are some facilities that are open 24/7, which is really handy. There's a drinking water tap and a big sink where you can do your dishes. There's a couple of coin operated showers, a toilet, and it's a popular spot for people with camper vans to go and park up, but also for people who are cycling, doing bikepacking or hiking, because it is the very start of the Hebridean Way. So we just parked up there and then pitched up on the grass for the first night, and then moved our tent down to the beach for another couple of nights, and then went away and then came back and put the tent up on the grass,
in the dunes, yeah,
above the beach. So there's like loads of different places where you can pitch up basically, and
there's a huge area.
Yeah, and the views are just absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful sunsets, shallow, sheltered little bays, so it's good for swimming and so on. Not that I got in swimming.
It is a bit cold. It is a bit cold.
Didn't get in then. I wish I had actually. I waited till Eais before I got in the water, and then was like, why have I not been doing this every other time? So yeah, Vatersay, highly recommended whether you're just going for a little day trip or if you're camping. It's ideal. A great spot. It costs £10 a night for a vehicle. So if you're in a camper van or like us where we had to park the car, it was £10. Or if you've just got a tent, like say you're bikepacking or hiking, it's £3 for the tent. We
spent the first couple of days just hanging about on Vatersay, spending our time between the beaches and hiking around the hills on the island as well. There's a really great walk which you can do from the beach, which takes you around the hillsides and old abandoned village. It also takes you in a couple of different beaches, and you get some really cracking views as you go around. And then back on the beach, amazing views out to sea. You can see Rum in the far distance, the Isle of Rum. And we got to experience some really fantastic sunsets too.
Yeah, I just did not want to leave, basically. We were going to leave after the second morning, and I was thinking to myself, we're in paradise. Why would we ever go anywhere else? Let's just stay another day. Easy to while away a few days on Vatersay for sure, and that's exactly what we did. Another highlight that we would definitely recommend on a trip to Barra is going to the airport, which might seem like a bit of a weird recommendation, but this is the only airport in the world where scheduled flights land on tidal beach, and it is such a cool thing to see. So twice a day flights come in from Glasgow, these little twin otter 19-seater planes, and they land on the beach and then take off again about half an hour later. So you can check the times on the Barra Airport website for when they're due to land, because it all depends on like the tides and whatnot. But don't make the mistake that we did and get there early, go for a walk, and then end up missing them actually landing. So beware, they can land up to half an hour earlier, or even more maybe, than it says on the website.
We did get lucky and see an extra plane, a wee private plane that was taken off when we were there as well. So
yeah, some guy had flown in just to play golf and then flew out again. I mean, how nice must it be to have that much money? Just hire your own private plane for the day. So yeah, there's a really nice beach on the other side of the airport. You just park at the airport and walk up over these dunes and down to it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. One of the most nicest beaches on the island. So we'd, thinking that we had tons of time, gone for a little stroll over there. And then suddenly I see the plane coming overhead and I'm like, Del, run! But we didn't get back in time to film it landing. But we did get to see two planes taking off. And I'm pretty sure I've seen them landing before. Or maybe last time I also missed them landing because I was cycling there. Little slow coach Kim at the back of the group. I think I might have missed them last time. But yes, so definitely go and check out the planes landing. It's quite the sight. Go along to the beach as well, it's really gorgeous, and then there's another beach and sort of nice old jetty up on the northern part of the peninsula, so I think it's called Eoligarry, which is also just near the airport. So that's where we went after for a little wander among the creels, which I get very obsessed with. I mean, there was quite a few clips of the fishing creels, but that made it into the final cut, but you should have seen how many there were before that, and all the photos on my phone and whatnot. Are you into creels? Or are you just video them for my amusement?
Yeah, I mean, they are, they're interesting, I suppose, but I don't have the same interest as you do. Anyway, the beach,
of a weird obsession with like fishing.
The beach there, it's a lovely expanse of white beach, and you can walk around for quite some distance, and you can get views to the islands to the north as well. Yeah. So it's a really nice place. Over to
Eriskay and the hills in South Houston and stuff. So as with most beaches, when the tide is going out, it's kind of most spectacular because more of the sand is exposed. So yeah, it's a lovely little spot there. And we considered camping up there, but the wind and whatnot was not in our favour. So I think that's why we just ended up going back down to... Oh no, we didn't. We went down to Tangasdale.
Was that the night we went there?
I think so. So most of the beaches, the best beaches on Barra, are on the western side of the island, facing the Atlantic. So there's the beach by the airport. There's another beach, Cleet, which we went for a little look to. I don't think that made it into the film actually. We only had a couple of clips, and they weren't really worth putting in there, but I'll show you it just now. And that was quite nice. And then we ended up parking up in Tangasdale village and just walked like 5 minutes down to the beach and had a night camping there, where it was a little bit more sheltered west facing that night than it would have been if we'd camped up by the jetty beach. So yeah, nice beaches on the west coast. There's not really any beaches on the east coast, but it's a really nice drive that you can do kind of on a loop road all the way around Barra. There's all these little lovely bays, which I remember from the last time cycling, I just kept pulling in all the time. Fishing creels, little colourful boats in the bays, like absolutely gorgeous. So it's definitely worth just having a little scenic drive around the island.
Yeah,
as well.
It's hard to capture when you're driving because there's not too many places you can pull in.
Yeah.
There are plenty of passing places because it's a single track road, but you can't really park in them and stop and get out, take pictures and take footage. So last time when we were cycling, it was definitely a lot easier just to hop off the bike and take a picture. But
yeah.
You can drive around and enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, but even if you've got a car there, it might be worth hiring a bike for the day or bringing your own bikes over with you on the ferry. There is a place called Barra Bike Hire, which hires out electric bikes as well, which, to be honest, is more my thing. Mr. Fit here could definitely pedal by himself, but a little bit of assistance would do me fine. And yeah, it's a nice idea actually to just cycle around the island and take in the views that way. Especially if you've got good weather. Besides things to see and do on Barra and Vatersay itself, one of the things that we would 100% recommend doing, and for us was a highlight of our entire sort of 2.5 week trip through the Outer Hebrides, is a day trip to Mingulay. So Mingulay is an uninhabited island about 12 miles south of Barra, and there's 2 different companies that do day trips by boat down to Mingulay from Castlebay. We ended up going with one called Hebridean Sea Tours, and it took us about 40 minutes to get down there. There's no landing jetty or anything on the island, so we just had to sort of scramble off onto the rocks, and immediately we were surrounded by puffins flying overhead. And I mean, yeah, puffins was one of the main things I was excited about going to Mingulay for. I have been dying to see puffins in real life for, well, a very long time, and it just had never worked out up until this point. And there's a big colony that is on Mingulay, and you can like go and sit on the grass next to their burrows and just sort of wait for them to pop their little heads out or fly overhead and land, and it was just the coolest thing. Not to mention that the island itself is absolutely stunning.
And wait, we did have to do, in actual fact, because they were all there when we arrived, but they then flew off and didn't come back for what, 2 hours or something like that?
Oh, we had 3 hours on the island, something like that, to kind of wander around, do our own thing before we had to go back to the boat. And I was like, I am not going anywhere until we have had some close-up encounters with these puffins. So yeah, just sat there for like, I think a good hour and a half, waiting patiently, enjoying the views of the beach, enjoying Dancing Man, who was having the best day ever. And eventually, yeah, they started swooping back around, and we got some amazing moments with these puffins, which I was totally just ecstatic about.
I didn't sit there for an hour and a half. I was hiking up the hill, getting shots of the beach and other things like that. But yeah, it was great when they did arrive, you know, so it was great to be able to sit so close to them and see them just landing and popping in and out their burrows, and yeah, fantastic. And
did you, or did you not, see the puffin poop? Who knew that is how puffins pooped?
Well,
now you do.
Maybe they don't all do that.
They do. I've looked it up since, and that is standard puffin poop.
Okay.
Just bend over, little squirt, and pop back into your burrow.
I thought maybe that puffin had a little problem or something.
What, a bit of diarrhea?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's just standard puffin poop. There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, after we managed to get our encounter with the puffins, I was like, okay, now we can go and look elsewhere on the island. And yeah, it's an uninhabited island. The last residents left in 1912. Sort of similar story to St Kilda, really. Just life was not sustainable on this island anymore. It was too difficult landing boats. You could go for long periods of time without being able to get supplies in and so on. And yeah, eventually the inhabitants all left and moved to other islands, including Vatersay and Barra and so on. So there's still some houses that are left there, but the sand from the beach is actually kind of creeping inland and starting to cover the houses, and they're just left in ruin these days. But you can go and sort of have a wander around. There was a big climbing party that was camping there when we were there. There was about 40 climbers, so it's a really popular spot for climbers. Not that we're climbers, but apparently it is one of the best places in the UK. The cliffs certainly on the other side of the island are very tall, and we visited them afterwards on the boat. So we spent about 3 hours on the island and then took a boat trip for about an hour around the back of the island, which was absolutely incredible. There was just guillemots everywhere, sort of lining all the rock faces, and you can sail sort of in, and there's a big rock arch, which the Hebridean Sea Tours catamaran is actually too big to get through. If you go on the other boat trip and the weather is right, you can sail through this this arch, natural rock arch, which is pretty cool. But I mean, I was very happy with the view.
Yeah, I mean, we got in pretty close, and as we were coming around the island, we saw so many of the climbers on the sheer rock faces doing their thing, so that was interesting too. And yeah, a vast number of birds just in and out of the water and on the rock faces, as Kim said. It was really, really fantastic. Yeah,
Mingulay was just such a cool place, such a special place. And yeah, the day trip itself, you leave about 10, you get back about 4. It's 50 to 60 pounds depending on which operator you go with, and it is well worth it. One of the best places to see puffins. That beach is just out of this world beautiful, and yeah, a really cool place. It's owned by the National Trust for Scotland, and you can camp there as well if you wanted to. You just need to pay twice boat fare. And there was a guy that we met there who was actually going to be staying out there for about a week or something like that. And we were a little bit jealous. We were like, why didn't we do that? But next time, I could see us going back and
we definitely
spending a few days camping there. It's really special. So we would definitely recommend a trip there. In fact, we loved it so much that immediately I was like, that has made me want to go to St Kilda even more, which I'd already written off because it's quite an expensive trip and I thought you could only go from Harris. But the same boat company that we went with to Mingulay, we realised does the trips to St Kilda, and we literally ended up booking a trip within 2 hours of getting off that boat. And they said, yeah, we've got space on Monday, we're going out to St Kilda, and yeah, that's how that trip came about. So if you've not seen our St Kilda video, you can find a link to it up here or down in the description. Go and check that out, because it was also a really cool trip which you can do from Barra. Who knew? So you can go out there too. 2 very cool day trips if you wanted to see a bit more than just Barra and Vatersay itself. All of our tips for the best things to see and do on Barra and Vatersay are in our guide over on the website, goingthewholehog.com. So if you're planning your own trip to the islands, do go and check that out. It's full of practical info as well, such as how to get there, how to get around, the best places to eat and drink, where to stay, campsites, all that sort of stuff. So go and check that out.
And if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a comment if you've got time and you feel inclined. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. All of those things really helps us out more than you know.
And an extra special thank you, as always, to our patrons. You know who you are. Thank you, you legends, for supporting us in this filmmaking journey and in the writing of our guides. And if you do like what we do and you're like, you know what, I would buy them a pint in real life if I ever met them, well, why not consider joining our Patreon community instead? Or you could buy us a pint as well if we ever did meet in real life. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, go and check out our Patreon community. You can see what it is that we offer in exchange for your pledges, and it is a way of supporting us and helping us to continue creating these films, writing the guides for you, keeping it accessible for everyone, and keeping it independent of, you know, what's popular and having to chase advertising and sponsorship and all this. We'd really like to just keep doing the things that we love and the things that we think you enjoy watching, rather than being forced to do things that we think would be popular. So if that's something that appeals to you, go and check it out. You can find some details up here, and yeah, take a look into that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Isle of Eriskay, South Uist, North Uist, Benbecula, where we drink gin, go see some amazing cliffs, go cockling. That was a lot of fun. What else? The next video was a good one. See some lochs and more amazing beaches. Yeah, lots of good stuff. So we'll see you then. See you then. And I have one question for you out there. When we do these chats, sometimes Kim accuses me of playing the bagpipes. Now, I think my elbow maybe moves slightly or something. It's not that one. It's that one. Oh, it's this one. See, I didn't even know which elbow it is. So,
If you have seen me play the bagpipes, please get in touch, leave a comment and let me know, because I'd love to know.
You're doing it right now. Did you even realise you were doing it?
No, I didn't. No. Well, there you go.
You probably haven't noticed them playing the bagpipes because I expertly overlay other clips to try and hide the bagpipe playing. But yeah, you did it literally right there.
Okay, so apart from right there, if you have seen me in this video play the bagpipes, please let me know. And on that note, bye.